Yeah, okay. So there's a lot to be learned from that for a newer investor or actually any type of investor. Let's go to the real estate one first, if you don't mind. So basically,
Yes.
what you're saying is look at your what I would call infrastructure expenses. You're saying be cognizant of that. Be really careful of that because that's going to impact your rate of return. Correct?
Correct. Yeah. Like Louisiana, for instance, their homeowners insurance quadrupled over the past 4 years, literally 4X. So when you're looking at holding a rental in Louisiana, you're already not going to have really high end rents there.
Mm.
That's why I don't hold any in Louisiana, even though it's a landlord friendly state for the most part. I don't want to hold it there because the insurance costs are too much. You might be in a flood zone there too. Flood insurance is expensive in Florida. I'm really cognizant of that. I try to stay out of flood zones, or if I can build the house up to get it out of the flood zone, that's another way to do it as well. I'm looking at a property here in Bonita Springs, not far from me in Southwest Florida, that if it falls into a flood zone, I can literally just hoist it up. It's already on small little pilings. I can
Mm.
bring it up higher, get it out of the flood zone, and reduce my costs.
Okay, thank you. That's awesome. So now going back to the Bitcoin or the crypto. So it sounds like I'm going to say you're kind of an analyst of the coins themselves. That makes
Mhm.
sense. So what you're saying is look for the right coin in your circumstance. I mean, I guess basically that's what you're saying. Does that sound about right?
That's exactly right. So you look at ones that have use case both now and into the future, because a lot of these coins, it's all purely speculation, right? They don't do anything yet.
Mm.
Well, XRP does, right? XRP is set up with a lot of the banks with MasterCard. It's set up to replace the Swift system, the wiring system where it takes 1 to 5 days to go overseas for a wire, but they could do it in 3 to 5 seconds for less than a penny. So this is something that's actually a use case that's happening that's going to continue to grow in the future with one like that. HBAR is another one. And both XRP and HBAR are trying to get into RWA, which is real world assets, where tokenization of real world assets. As a matter of fact, Alex Otwell, who's in our group, right, that we
Yeah.
know had his oil and gas company tokenized on HBAR's blockchain. So HBAR has a very bright future as well. And actually, I misquoted that. It's not actually blockchain. It's actually hashgraph technology they use, which
Oh,
is different than blockchain,
it's
slightly
different.
different. And it's
All right.
quick,
So
cheap.
that's full of information. I love that. So, all right. By the way, so I always forget this. If you're marketing anything, why don't you go ahead and throw a little ad out there, and then how do people get a hold of you, et cetera, et cetera, and then we're gonna jump to the next segment.
Sure, we do have an educational platform for how to buy all over the country, bank owned properties, as well as from wholesalers, things like that. REOauctionacademy.com. I have a YouTube channel, virtualinvestor.com, and a newer one I've created, which is coffee, cryptos, and real estate, which I love. I just started that one. It's under my name, Paul Lizell. You can look that up, and I'm up to 154 subscribers. I just launched it a couple weeks ago, and it's going pretty quick. It's going pretty good. The
Holy
subscriber
mackerel!
growth, it went
Nice
crazy
work.
because that HBAR video I did, I got 110 subscribers in about a week, so that's pretty solid.
Nice work. Can you
Uh,
spell those?
what's that?
Can you spell them so people could,
Oh, sure,
who went over
yes.
kind of quickly?
Paul Lizell, so Paul Lizell. If you put that into YouTube, you'll find my channel there. You'll probably find multiple channels I have there. But coffee, cryptos, and real estate is that one channel. And then the virtual investor is the real estate channel I had. I think I launched that in around 2018 or so. And we have maybe 3,000 subs on that one. Nothing huge. We continually slow grow that one. But REO Auction Academy is our website if you want to sign up for our educational platform. We have two different ones. We have a do-it-yourself for $497 do-it-yourself program. You get some videos. You get to come on our monthly coaching call, or you could do the one where it's full-fledged program where you get a lot more videos, a lot more info, and plus we actually will look at your deals and tell you whether it's a deal or not. And that one's $5,500 for that program. And I have a new HUD home store program I did as well. That's also $497. So you can connect with me on that, and I'd be happy to get you all those details.
Sweet. Thank you very much. Okay. And then now to the next segment. How do you feel about beating someone at pickleball, even though their leg was broken, by the way?
I feel really good about it as long as I'm beating them.
I'm just kidding. You beat me at pickleball.
Kenner's a
Yeah, I
solid
just had to
player.
get
Let me
that
tell
out
you,
there.
Kenner's a good player. He's going to downplay himself, but Kenner can play. He's got athleticism. He's got some movement, some skills.
Oh, good times, good times. All right, so let's go into real estate a little bit more in depth. So I know you have a deal in Washington or some deals in Washington. Is it scary when you're investing in deals that are so far away from you where you live? Because you live, whatever, 3,000 miles away. Let's talk about that a little bit. Give us some input there.
Yes, it can be if you don't have the right people. So this is where it's so key when we're looking at a property in a different market. We generally contact three realtors, three agents, and I try to find good bank owned agents. So I'll actually use the HUD Home Store, believe it or not, for looking for REO agents on that website. You can actually do that. It's a great resource. It's free. You can also find good title companies on that as well. We interview them. We find out who gets back to us quick, who responds quick, who gets us good information on a property. And we generally go with that person. If they, especially if they have good boots on the ground contractors, if we need to do any work in the house, basically what we do is we go to them and say, hey, here's the property. Tell me what it needs to get this thing just mortgageable and sellable. What does it need? What's the after repair value if we do a full scale fix and flip compared to just, a wholesale type of deal? So they give us numbers both ways. We generally do it just a wholesale because doing a full scale rehab that far away can be tough. We've done it because we have good contractors in different markets. So we will do it in certain markets. I do it in Casper, Wyoming. I do it in Tucson, Arizona. I do it in mobile markets in Indiana and Ohio, and of course, Pennsylvania, where I'm originally from, New Jersey. But otherwise, I recommend just trying to find a property that doesn't need a ton of work, do the basics, get it mortgageable. And in this market, it'll move if you get it mortgageable and you're priced right.
Wow.
I've done very rural Alaska, by the way. I've done Eskimo
Really?
towns in Alaska back in the day. Yeah.
Whoa. So you do business all over the that's well, how do you find these? Hold on. I mean, very legitimate. How do you find these? Because it's not so easy finding properties in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, and making money on them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So yeah, where I found most of them on is either auction.com, Hubzoo, Xome.com, Hudson and Marshall, HUD Home Store, or you can go on and find bank owned properties that are owned by Wells Fargo, by Bank of America, and you can find a property manager there and or the agent that's connected to it, make offers that way as well. But mostly we do online auctions for the most part. And we include HUD Home Stores and online auction too, kind of is.
Mhm.
It's a little bit different process, but it's the same type of thing. That's what I started buying HUD homes back in 2001.
So you're and you know what they say, people make money on where when they buy in real estate. So that's really your added value because you somehow are finding deals in middle of nowhere for low cost that hopefully are going to go up tremendously. And going back to your earlier point, not selling because that's where you make your money. That
Yeah.
on the run up. So that's really where you add your value, correct?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And key is when you're looking at these properties, you can use Zillow. Zillow is a great comping tool, even in rural areas. If you don't find any sold comps there, I would recommend not buying. That means there's not enough information for you to move forward with, or not enough properties for sale in that market. There could be issues. So we will move on if it's too rural because it could be difficult with those.
Mm.
But as long as you can find comps, and when I'm looking at comps, if we're a three-bedroom, two bath, 1,500 square feet, we try to look at similar type properties. Say it's on a quarter of an acre. We want to be the cheapest. I would be buying it cheaper than the cheapest one sold. Is kind of what I'm
Mhm.
looking at there. If I'm buying it cheaper than the cheapest one sold, I know I'm in good shape on the property.
You know you're going to make money. What about are you a negotiator? Like, do you really talk them down?
Well, when you're bidding online, you can only go to whatever your
Oh yeah, you
bid
can.
is, right?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that, when I did, and I did it only for a couple of years where I did direct to seller, and I did do television a couple of years ago here. And yeah, you renegotiate, go back and forth. When you find new information on a house, you have to go deeper. And I've even done it on the bank owned deals. Like sometimes we'll find an issue with the property we didn't know about when a contract goes out. We'll go back and ask for another 10 or 20 grand off. Sometimes they'll do it, sometimes they won't, sometimes they'll counter with another number back. For instance, we're doing one right now in Louisiana where somebody came in and this was bank owned property and stole the kitchen cabinets, just took them all out of the house, ripped everything out. Bizarre, right? You don't see that very often. So they had to file a police report. But when we got under contract, the cabinets were there and then they were stolen. So we were originally at like I think we were at 110. Yeah, 110 on this. And we figured 15K for a brand new kitchen. So we're trying to get it at 95. They came back at 103. We told them we got to be 95. If they don't go to 95, we'll just let it go.
Mm, I understand. Yeah, I would guess you to be a good negotiator. You got some, a little bit of gray hair that helps in
Yes.
negotiation. You got some
That it.
experience, maybe some wisdom. You know what I mean? Hmm.
To do that,
Um,
yes.
yeah. Let's talk about Bitcoin a little bit. Um,
Mhm.
so, oh, actually, let's talk about Bitcoin and tax because we've been doing tax using AI. So,
Yep.
what are your thoughts about being tax efficient as it relates to Bitcoin?
Being tax efficient.
Yep.
Yeah. See, that's where the borrowing against it is great. So you
Yeah.
don't pay taxes, right? If you can get it as a loan. Otherwise, you're selling it. That's a big capital gain to pay. If my average price is 66.35 and I'm selling it for 100K, say, that's a big capital gain payment I'm going to have to make there. So yeah, that's going to be difficult, but I'm going to have to be smart about that and hopefully be able to offset the taxes from that with cost segregation on single families and properties I'm doing on pad split, right? So that I can have losses that I can apply towards those gains on stocks and on cryptos, things like that. So that's kind of where I'm gonna have to go with this, for especially for next year, being cognizant I probably won't be selling anything until next year. And yeah, this year we got some losses. Hopefully, we'll have some carry forward with
Hmm.
these losses. Well, not really Yeah, I guess they are losses on certain properties, but also from all the properties we're doing cost segregation from that'll carry forward and give us reduced numbers. And then we'll buy more next year and do more rentals again. We're gonna have to keep on adding rentals just so we don't pay taxes. I guess is what it comes down to.